shouldn't be too far away. Off onto the main channel. It's currently loading as I speak. Lovely. Still loading up. Taking a while to load up. Taking a really long time to load up. What's going on? Hold on. Should be up and running. There we go. I don't know why that took so long. Right now. Yep, audio is working as it should. Streams up, chats up are all good to go. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the America's Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we'll be racing at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Constructed in 1986 and located near the capital city of Budapest, this 2.72 mile 14-turn circuit has earned a permanent spot on the Formula 1 calendar since its creation. Amongst Formula 1 fans, this track is more commonly known as being Monaco without the walls, and it's easy to understand why. The circuit is certainly one of the trickiest and most difficult to pass racetracks in the world, with overtaking opportunities limited to the 2 DRS zones that lead into Turn 1 and Turn 2. Outside of these areas, the drivers will have to deal with some of the nastiest corners on the Formula 1 calendar. The high-speed left-hander of Turn 4 and the high-speed right-hander of Turn 11 are two areas that have famously become accident hotspots on the circuit. The inside curbs at Turn 2 and Turn 5 also have a reputation of creating chaos during both qualifying and in the race. Now, before we focus on this qualifying session here, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race over in Mexico. Last week's race in Mexico. There weren't any incident reports from last week's race, so the final finishing positions remain totally unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, VSR Jack is leading the way on 93 points, followed by Mighty Wombat on 88. Mexico race winner RF1 Tom is third on 79, followed by Saucy on 72, with Blockman rounding out the top 5 on 59 points. Next is KD on 57, followed by Rebellion on 45, Mr. Nars on 39, Subfalime on 37, and Rocket Alamar rounds out the top 10 on 30 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes is leading the way on 145 points, followed by McLaren on 116, 29 points separating those two teams in the Constructors. And next is Alpine on 104, 12 points back. 5 points behind them is Williams on 99, with Aston Martin rounding out the top 5 on 79. Behind them is Red Bull Racing on 69, followed by Ferrari on 40. AlphaTauri and Haas are equal 9th on 13 points, followed by Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the table on 9. But that's pretty much it in terms of news heading into this event. We can now focus on this qualifying session. Now, you may notice that the driver on screen doesn't have a name on the leaderboard or on the lap data. This is Blockman. Just for whatever reason, his name isn't popping up. So just remember that. Yes, Bags, I'm here. I saw the first message. It's fine. But, yeah, I wasn't here for Pacific Tier 1. I was off doing things. And now I'm here ready to commentate America's Tier 1. We're going to have the first lap time set by Blockman. It's a 1 minute 16.273. Sort of loosely reflects the last name meme that we had a few years ago, but instead of last name, it's no name. Goes to the top of the table. VSR Jack doesn't appear to be on a flying lap as Saucy jumps up to P2 with a 16.3. Mr. Nars on a flying lap, heading up the hill towards the first sector split into the notorious Turn 4. Chucking it through. Hello, Zach Crichton, nice to see you. as Rebellion jumps to the top with a 16.2, and Rebellion has moved back on to his PlayStation. Hello, is that the Harmicist? No, it wasn't. That must have been Sergeant Bill spinning out at the chicane. Yeah. Aha, bags. Very funny. As Mr. Nars makes his way out of the middle sector split up towards turn 12. Tidy run out of there, down towards turn 13. So it's pretty tight towards the top as of right now. 110 separating the top three. Then it's a solid second back to John C. in the Haas in P4. Out of the final corner and down the main straightaway goes Mr. Nars. He'll set a 17.287. Goes fourth quickest overall. Sub for line on a lap. Rocket Alamar as well. Rocket... coming towards the end of a flying lap, making his way around the final corner and back onto the main straightaway. He'll set a 17.596, goes sixth quickest overall. Take it easy out on track. He's got a long way to go around until he starts his flying lap. Mr. Wombat is just about to end his flying lap. He'll jump up to pole position with a 1 minute 16.006. Professor Phil making his way out of the penultimate corner and around the final turn, turn 14. Nice and tidy around the right-hander, back onto the main straightaway. He'll set a 18 flat. He'll go P10 overall. Sub for line coming towards the end of a flying lap here, making his way towards the penultimate corner on the racetrack, turn 13. Third gear, back on the accelerator, nice and tidy on the exit, eventually reaching full throttle as he makes his way around the final corner, turn 14. Back onto the main stretch. DRS open up towards the line. It is P10 for sub for line, a 17.9. Take it easy. He's about to start a flying lap. We're going to ride on board with the Ferrari driver. No, we're not. He's actually going to do a preparation lap. So what he's trying to do is dump as much fuel as possible, get his car as light as possible, ready for a more ideal flying lap. In which case, we're probably going to ride on board here with RF1 Tom, our race winner from Mexico. Mr. Jack in the Williams did not attend the Mexico race, so he's still on 93 points. And allowed Tom here to become the first winner other than Jack in this season. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1, we're going to give you a guided tour of this 2.7 mile racetrack. Into the opening corner, entering at 190 miles an hour. Third gear on the exit, you'll open DRS, climb up through the gearbox and head towards the left-hander of turn 2. Braking just before the 50 board, bringing it down to third gear, back on the accelerator, short shifting to fourth. Through turn 3, exiting in 6th, up to 7th gear, up towards the first sector split. Into the notorious turn 4, very fast, very tricky right-hander, around turn 5 with the notorious inside curve. You can see there from Tom, he avoided it like the plague. Into the chicane of turn 6 and 7, tidy on the exit there. An Alfa Romeo spun around at the exit. Turn 8 into turn 9, fourth gear, nice and tidy, still from Tom. Keeping it well within the white lines, around turn 10 into the tricky turn 11. Tidy exit, could have used a bit more curve, but he kept it tidy as he heads into turn 12. Third gear, short shifts up to 4th. Fifth gear, heading into the hairpin of turn 13. Nice and steady on the exit and into the right-hand sweeper of turn 14. Hugging the inside line the whole way round as Jack has rejoined the session. Tom will open DRS and cross the line. It's P6 with a 16.513. Saucy getting ready for another flying lap attempt. Same with Blockman here, or Mr. No Name. Saucy makes his way out of the final corner and down the main straightaway towards turn 1. He'll begin his flying lap attempt. Now we saw 190 miles an hour from Tom. What about Saucy into turn 1? Just under 190, so perhaps carrying slightly more wing compared to the McLaren of Tom. Tidy out of turn 1 into turn 2. Hard on the brakes, bringing it down to 4th gear. Steady on the exit. Tidy line through turn 3. Up towards the first sector split. What does the clock say for the Aston driver? He's down by 0.04 of a second. Up towards turn 5. Down to 4th gear. Back on the accelerator. Tidy exit. Hello, Haas. What are you up to? I'm not sure whom that might be. It's either John or Locuito. Out of the chicane. Heading around turn 8. Into turn 9. Nice and tidy run through the S's so far into 10. Now around the tricky turn 11, avoiding that inside curve there. I don't think he touched it, as he's up by just over 1/10 of a second. With that sort of improvement, he can jump up to the front row, but he won't take pole position just yet. Around the short sweeper of turn 13 and into turn 14, the final corner on the racetrack. Fourth gear, modulating the throttle, shifting up to fifth gear, opening DRS, crossing the line. It is P2 for Saucy, improving by just under 0.2 of a second. He's still about just under 0.2 of a second away from our current pole sitter, Mighty Wombat. Rebellion beginning a flying lap, heading down the main straightaway, crossing the line and down towards turn 1. Now top speed we'll see here is 188 miles an hour as he heads around the right hand hairpin. Opens DRS and heads down towards turn 2. 7th gear, braking hard, bringing it down to 4th. Not bothering to use so, just keeping it in 4th. Around turn 3 and up towards the first sector split. What will the clock say for the Alpine driver? It says he's down by a whopping 0.2 of a second. And he's invalidated at turn 4. That wasn't an ideal first sector at all. That's an ideal lap for KD. That's P2 with a 16.095. He is less than 1/10 away from his teammate, who still occupies pole position. Hello players, nice to see you in the chat. Mr. Nas has just completed a flying lap. Take it easy, I think it's just completed one as well. And he's out of fuel. And he has to do an entire lap with low fuel mode. That's going to be the exact opposite of fun. The harm assist is up by 0.3 of a second to the middle sector. You'd be looking to try and crack into the 16s here, or at least crack into the top 10. So tidy exit out of 13, and around the final corner, turn 14, down to 4th gear. You get a slight toe from the Alpine in front as well, as the harm assist will cross the line. He just misses out on a 16, but he moves into the top 10 with a 17.1. Seems like Blockman's back in the pits. Rebellion will more than likely... Oh, well, he's on a second flying lap attempt. I thought he was going to move back into the pits. But no, he's going to have another crack here as he heads around turn 3. Up towards the first sector split. What does the clock say for the Alpine driver? It says he's up by just under 1/10 of a second. Around turn 5 now, 5th gear. Eventually reaching full throttle just before the outside curb out of the right-hand sweeper. Into the chicane of 6 and 7. Up towards turn 8, 5th gear. Modulating the throttle. Never reaching full throttle in between turns 8 and 9 there. Just constantly modulating the throttle. Around turn 13, up towards the middle sector split. Well, unfortunately, that's a costly mistake. A small mistake, but a costly one. Running wide, putting all 4 wheels over the white line. That's an invalidated lap. It was looking like he was going to try and challenge for pole position as well. RF1 Tom here, making his way around turn 3, up towards the first sector split. Current PB is a 16.5. He's currently down to the first sector by 12 thousandths of a second. Around turn 5, up towards the chicane of turn 6 and 7. He'll bring it down to 3rd gear, down to 2nd, short shifts up to 3rd. There's his teammate getting out of the way. Subforline currently P9 with a 17.007. Oh, almost putting all 4 wheels over the white line there at the exit of turn 9. Around turn 11, tidy through there. He's up by just under 0.2 of a second. In order for him to challenge pole, he'll have to find a significant amount of time in this final sector. With the time he's already found, he might be able to jump up to the 2nd row. Let's find out what he does. He makes his way around the final corner and back onto the main straightaway with DRS open. He'll set a 16.249, jumps up to P4, overtaking Rebellion, who's done a 16.268. So not much separating a few of these guys from P4 to P6. What's that? That is 24 thousandths of a second. It's not much at all. Youngling out on track. So is Jack, our current championship leader. He's getting himself ready for a run as Villeneuve has retired in the pit lane. So the best he can hope for is P17. And looks like Jack here is going for a flying lap attempt. We're going to ride on board. See how Jack fares. Down the main straight away we go towards turn 1. Shifting it into top gear. What kind of peak speed will we see? 189 miles an hour. into turn 1. Apex speed of about 63 miles an hour through the right-hand hairpin. Down towards the left-hand sweeper of turn 2, braking at the 50 board, bringing it down to 4th gear, short shifts up to 5th. Gets a tidy exit there, around turn 3, using plenty of curb on the outside of the right-hander, up towards the first sector split. He's found 3/10 on his previous lap. Running wide though at the exit of turn 4 means that he'll invalidate this run. A simple mistake, very, very similar to what we saw from Rebellion a few minutes ago. It looks like he's going to try and keep pushing on this lap. Makes his way out of turn 9, around turn 10, into 11. Or just lifting off the throttle twice, understeering too much, so he's carrying far too much speed into turn 11. So it seems like he will have to dab on the brakes just a little bit to try and get that Williams rotated around the right-hand sweeper. And he'll go back into pit lane, put on another set of soft tyres, and go out for one final run. It's a bit tricky for Jack at the moment though. He is currently stone dead last. It's not going to be easy to make your way up through the field here at Hungaroring. Definitely one of the trickier racetracks to make your way up through the field. Mr. Nars currently up by 1.5 tenths to the first sector, making his way into turn 5, 4th gear. Modulating the throttle, eventually reaching full throttle. Now for Terry getting well out of the way there. That's good stuff. Through turn 6, through turn 7, up towards the left-hander of 8. Down to 4th gear. 5th gear on the exit of turn 9. Through 10. Into the very tricky turn 11. Again, avoiding that inside curve. Mr. Nars is up by 0.2 of a second to the middle sector, but in order for him to improve position, he'll need to find a little over 3.5 tenths over the course of this lap, so he needs to find another tenth and a bit through this final sector. He'll make his way around the final corner, turn 14, and back onto the main straightaway with DRS open. Mr. Nars will set a 16.481. He improves by just over 4 tenths, so he does indeed improve position. He goes P7 overall. Rebellion getting ready. Saucy on a flying lap, what could be his final flying lap attempt with 2 minutes left in the session. Into turn 1, 4th gear, gently reapplying the throttle. You can see the traffic in front. Here comes Saucy down towards turn 2. Oh, that's not very great stuff from the McLaren there. That wasn't Tom, that had to be Subfalime there, awkwardly getting in the way. Alright, Saucy to the first sector, up by just under 1/10 of a second. Meanwhile, KD will begin his flying lap attempt down towards turn 1. Hard on the brakes here, down to 3rd gear. Back on the accelerator, gets a tiny run out. Saucy making his way through the S's now, around turn 9, up towards turns 10 and 11. What will the clock say here to the middle sector? He does have traffic in front of him, which will cost him time. He's up by 1.5 tenths. He needs to find more time here in the final sector if he wants to challenge for pole position. Around the penultimate corner, turn 13, and up towards the final turn of 14. Brings it down to 4th gear, back on the accelerator, eventually reaches full throttle well before the outside curb, and Saucy does jump up to pole position. A 15.8 for his efforts. KD, meanwhile, making his way through the middle sector. He's up by 0.2 of a second. There is a Haas in front, though. Hopefully that doesn't distract him too much. Only 2 corners left for KD. Around turn 13, he needs to keep pushing. Can't be too distracted by the... Yeah, well, there we go. He's now bailed on the lap. The Haas getting in the way. It was Laquito in the way there. As Mighty Wombat begins his final flying lap attempt. Rebellion has just completed his final flying lap attempt, so best he can do is P4. Tom making his way through as Blockman jumps to the top with a 15.841. Tom making his way through the middle sector, up towards the middle sector split. What about Jack? He's making his way through the first sector, chucking it through turn 4. He invalidates, that's it. He'll be starting from plumb last for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Mighty Wombat heading out of turn 5 towards the chicane of 6 and 7. Tom, meanwhile, is down to the middle sector. He's got one final sector to try and claw back some time, making his way around the final corner, back onto the main straight. He'll set a 16.297. He does not improve. Rebellion, his session is done. So it's down to Wombat. Can he challenge the Alpine for pole? No, he can't. I've just realised he's invalidated his final flying lap attempt. What about Youngling? He showed pace back in Mexico, and he is up to the middle sector. Where will he fall in? P7 with a 16.3. Still got a few drivers left out on track, but none of them on flying lap attempts. So it's Mr. No Name, that's Blockman, by the way, who will start from pole position with a 15.841, beating Saucy's time of 1 minute 15.869. 28 thousandths of a second between the top two. Alrighty. An interesting, chaotic qualifying session here at the Hungaroring, and you do kind of expect that. A track that's only 2.7 miles long, there isn't a lot of room. And when it comes towards the final parts of qualifying, traffic really does play a factor. And we saw that for a few drivers. Rocket Alamar has been unfairly given a 5 grid place penalty for illegal blocking. You can see the Alfa Romeo in front. It's Sergeant Bill. He's out of fuel. And Rocket Alamar's... The AI is just following the AI, and Alamar has been given a 5 grid place penalty. Unfairly, unjustly. Such is the unbelievably stupid nature of this game. So, it's Blockman who will start from pole. As I mentioned earlier, 28,000 separating the top two, with Saucy in P2. Mighty Wombat 3rd, followed by KD 4th. Rebellion 5th, Tom 6th, followed by Youngling. Mr. Nars sub for line, and Sergeant Bill rounds out the 10. John is next in P11, followed by the Harmesis and Flavius. Rocket Alamar, well, depending on what we do, will either start 14th or 19th for this Grand Prix. Take It Easy, 15th, followed by Professor Phil, Saint Sparty, Villeneuve, Laquito, and Jack will start from the back in 20th position. I'll quickly check the America's Tier 1 chat just to see what's going on and seeing what we'll do. I guess we're not restarting? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But this has been a reoccurring theme at the end of qualifying, where the AI just stack up behind one another, and whoever's second in that train gets a 5 grid place penalty for illegal blocking, because this game is so broken that it doesn't even know that qualifying's over. So yeah, no, Laquito was about to start a flying lap, and KD caught up quite quickly, and Laquito just didn't bother getting out of the way. So yeah, KD in the Discord is, justifiably angry because, Laquito himself wasn't on a lap. He could have just moved out of the way, let faster traffic through. In Laquito's defense, there's nothing in this game that tells you who's on a flying lap and who isn't. There's absolutely nothing in this game. There's never been anything to try and help people out whatsoever in previous titles. And you would think after so long, after 13 years of making F1 games, Codes would implement such a thing, because league racing is obviously very prominent on this platform. That sort of information is something you really, really need to know who's on a flying lap and who isn't. And yeah, that's just never been implemented. So yeah, this is part of the new update where you see all the mechanics A-posing in the pit grid slots. So that took a while for all that to pop up. I don't know why that took so long. So, let's see who's starting on what tyre for this Hungarian Grand Prix. Mr. No-Name Blockman here will start from pole position on the medium compound tyre, with Saucy starting alongside on the hards. Mighty Wombat is P3 on the hard tyre, sorry. Same with his teammate KD on the hard compound tyre. Rounding out the top 5 will be Rebellion on the medium compound tyre. Tom is next in P6 on the hard, same with Youngling in P7. Mr. Nars in 8th on the mediums, Subforline 9th on the hard tyre. Sergeant Bill will round out the top 10 on the medium compound tyre. John is next, starting on the hard tyre in 11th. The Harmesis starting P12 is on the mediums, same with Flavius in P13 and Take It Easy in P14. Professor Phil, his teammate, is next in P15, starting on the hard tyre. Insane Sparty is starting on the mediums. Villeneuve is doing the same, so is Laquito in 18th. Rocket Alamar, I guess, will be starting from 19th position after he was unfairly given a grid slot penalty. Start from 19th on the hards, and Jack doing the same in last position. It'll be fascinating to see how Jack will claw his way up through the field in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Certainly will be one hell of a challenge. So, using my basic arithmetic, how many have we got on each tyre? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, we got 10. Oh, it's an even split. 10 and 10. If I counted that up correctly, 10 on the mediums, 10 on the hards. Good, good. There's the predicted pit stop strategy. So according to the game, the medium tyre can do somewhere between 16 to 20 laps. Essentially what it tells the drivers is that you can split the race in half. You can pit at about lap 18 and you can make it to the end on whatever tyre. Safety cars are going to play havoc. With a full field of cars, there's a very, very high chance of a safety car. So, be interesting to see how this all plays out. But all 20 drivers are now lined up, ready to run. Got 35 laps in front of us here at the Hungaroring. We got 10 red lights. We are underway here at Budapest. It's a nice start from Saucy on the hard tyre, but Blockman's got the launch, heading down towards turn 1. Here we go. Blockman able to hang on. Saucy diving to the inside here, trying to take the lead. The two Mercedes are battling for position as well. Rebellion getting by KD for 4th. Down into turn 2 we go. Saucy looking round the long way. Yellows are out. Jack's involved in something. No, it's Flavius bringing out yellow flags out of turn 1. Tied out of 3 as Blockman hangs on to the lead. Saucy will stay in 2nd. Wombat 3rd, followed by Rebellion 4th. Then KD will round out the top 5. He's got Tom all over the back of him. Youngling 7th. Mr. Nars 8th. Sergeant Bill has made up a place. He's up to 9th. Subforline is in 10th. He's lost a place. Up 6th though. What a terrific start from Rocket Alamar. After what happened at the end of qualifying, he has absolutely nailed it off the line. And he's up into P13, challenging P12. Currently being occupied by the Harm Assist, but that will not help. Rocket Alamar has thrown away the good start with a mistake at the entry at turn 11. He tumbles back down to P16. Villeneuve in P17. There's Jack. He's made up 2 spots. Flavius. Sergeant Bell. What's happened here? He has spun at turn 13. You get pointed back in the right direction and tumble down to almost last position as Take It Easy. We'll move into pit lane. He's got a damaged front wing. Blockman leads the way. Saucy still in 2nd with 1 second separating the top 2. Wombat P3. Rebellion right behind in 4th. Laquito loses 2 places. He's down to P14. Rocket Alamar loses another 2. He's in an incident at the exit of turn 1 and Laquito is involved. Rocket Alamar has a damaged front wing as well on that Red Bull, so he'll have to pit and get that thing fixed. All that great work at the start, all thrown out the window with 2 incidents at turn 11 and at turn 1. Blockman losing a little bit of time to Saucy, but he shouldn't be too worried about that. Just needs to get his tyres nice and warm, get into an optimal temperature range. Just keep your eyes forward. You've got the tyre advantage on the mediums. should have slightly better pace, should be able to naturally pull away. So long as you remain focused and you don't look too much behind you. Rebellion applying pressure to Mighty Wombat. Rebellion's on the medium compound tyre and he's looking to be aggressive. Saucy sets a new fastest lap with a 19.9. Here comes Rebellion in the Alpine, closing in, but not by enough to challenge into turn 1. We'll stay behind the Mercedes for now. KD in 5th position. He's got Tom. Oh, it's Rebellion. He's got a run, looking around the outside here at turn 2, dives it in. Wombat trying to fight, but Rebellion has the inside line at turn 3. He's able to stay in front. So evidently Wombat didn't get a great run out of turn 1. Allowed Rebellion to draw alongside and drive around the outside of him at turn 2. Rocket LMR does indeed pit to get his front wing fixed. So some bits of drama here on the opening lap at the Hungaroring, which is expected. Sort of the nature of this racetrack. KD now behind Tom. He's got Youngling closing in. Down towards turn 12. So KD, not the best of starts. And he'll be amped up after what happened in qualifying. He's also unwell, KD. He's fighting through a cold in this race. So, yeah, I imagine he's literally and metaphorically hot under the collar. Mr. Nars also in this fight as well. Yellow's out. That's Sergeant Bill, I believe. It is. Same corner as before, turn 13. Villeneuve under pressure from Flavius down towards turn 1. Flavius, not enough momentum, but he's going to look anyway down the inside. Villeneuve goes a tad bit deep, but he gets the rotation he needs to stay in front. He'll keep P14 for now. 3-car fight here for P11. The Harmicist, Professor Phil and Insane Sparty as Jack sets a new fastest lap with a 19 flat. So Jack got up in the walls as well. He must have made a pit stop, surely. Yeah, he has. So he must have been involved in an incident on the first lap, I would assume. So he's got a lot of work to do from his position. Like a ton of work to do. You'll need to hope for a safety car, really. Down towards turn 12, KD's been able to pull away from Youngling and Mr. Nars. Mighty Wombat, that's not Mighty Wombat game, that's Tom, that's Mighty Wombat. 0.8 of a second behind Rebellion, as Flavius does get by Villeneuve. So that's P14 for Flavius, Villeneuve down to P15. So Wombat losing time, but that should be expected. Rebellion's on the medium compound tyre right now. Does have a plentiful amount of pace. Mr. Nars not close enough to attack. Yellow's out, it's Phil. Oh, gee whiz, I think Villeneuve took avoiding action. As Professor Phil was trying to reorientate himself as take it easy as spun at turn 11. Damaged front wing as well. You can see the debris in the tyre wall. So he'll have to pit again and get that thing fixed. Mr. No Name Blockman still leading the way. 2 seconds in front of Saucy, who is 1.3 seconds in front of Rebellion. Mighty Wombat still trying to stay within that 1 second range to the third place driver. Keep that fight alive for as long as possible. Tom is next in 5th, followed by KD in 6th. He's trying to drive away from Youngling and Mr. Nars. Sub for Lime is P9, and John C will round out the top 10. Out to turn 12, down towards turn 13. Now, Wombat has spun. Oh, careful. Gee whiz. He almost disqualified himself there. But Wombat spinning out at turn 13. That's the third spin we've seen there. And it's cost him dearly. Down to P10 now. Oh dear. Tom promoted up a place, so is his teammate KD. Wombat with a lot of work to do. Sparty closing in on the Harmicist here. Down towards turn 1. Looking to the inside. Doesn't fully commit on the brakes though. Harmicist ran a bit wide. Missed the apex. But Sparty, I think, is too far behind to challenge into turn 2. Professor Phil and Sergeant Bill battling for P15. As Bell gets in front, KD gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Considering where he is on the minimap, I guess he did that at turn 4. Sparty just trying to do his best, try and keep up with the Harnesses, keep this battle alive. John C trying to close up on sub for Lime. Try and create a battle for P8. Youngling has closed back in. He is now on the back of KD, heading into turn 12. Up towards turn 13 now. Through the little dip at the entry. You do have to be careful through there, especially with no ABS. Car does lock up a fair bit through there. Around turn 14. And down the main straightaway. Blue flags already. I believe that would be the Haas of Liquito. Yeah, it is. Already being put a lap down. KD under a little bit of pressure from Youngling behind. 0.4 of a second separating these two. There is Take It Easy. He's been in the walls, quite literally. And he's down in P20. Yeah. Oh, Harmesis has spun at turn 1. Sergeant Bell gets by Villeneuve for P14. So Harmesis costing himself a couple of places, promoting Sparty and Flavius up to P11 and P12. Yellow's out. That is a slow-moving Haas. I'm guessing that would be Liquito getting out of the way. Youngling trying to close in here on KD. 0.4 behind. Through turn 12, down towards turn 13. Chucking it through the left-hander. There is a Ferrari just in front. That would be Take It Easy, I would think, as Professor Phil gets by Villeneuve for P15. Bill gets by the Harnesses, that's for P13. And here comes Youngling on KD, but KD's getting some assistance thanks to the Ferrari in front, who is being lapped. KD getting some DRS assistance. Try and keep Youngling at bay. John C closing in on sub for Lime. So the battle's on for P8. There's Mighty Wombat. Mighty Wombat won't be a happy Wombat, I'm sure. He'd be an angry Wombat. Try and make his way through the field. Probably turn himself into Combat Wombat, I would be pretty certain. Heads up towards turn 6 and turn 7, chucking it through the chicane. Now there's not much you can do through this middle sector. Just one long technical section. Can't do a damn thing anywhere. What you have to do is try and minimize the tyre loss through the sector. Try and keep it nice and tidy. And then try and attack in the DRS zone, heading down towards turn 1. That's exactly what Wombat is doing right now. Alright, will he attack John this time around? He's got a bit of battery to play with. He's going to play with it. DRS open, buried in the slipstream, down towards turn 1. Look at the straight line speed he's got. Doesn't dart to the inside though, he stays behind the Haas. Interesting, I thought he'd be a bit more aggressive there as the Harmesis pits in. To the inside he looks at turn 2, but couldn't fully commit to the move. Down towards turn 3 now. Mercedes all over the Haas, heading up the hill towards turn 4. And unfortunately for Wombat, as I mentioned earlier, you can't do much through this section. You're stuck behind the car in front of you. Yeah, you can look to the inside here at the chicane. This isn't really an overtaking spot. And neither are any of the following corners. See here through turn 8, through turn 9, you can get close. You can't make a move. 10, into the tricky turn 11. And up towards turn 12. You could try and pass into 12. If you get a nice run out of the S's, out of turn 11, you can try and send it down the inside at turn 12. I've seen a few drivers try and do that. It is possible. But for the most part, you just have to wait until you get some DRS down the main straight into turn 1. Now, Youngling still keeping the battle alive with KD. He is close. Yeah, doesn't go for the move though. What about Wombat? No, he's lost too much time out of the final corner and won't challenge John into turn 1. Down towards turn 2, Youngling applying pressure. Oh, Wombat spun at turn 1. No front wing damage. Just as soon as I flicked away, and I think Phil spun as well at the final corner. No front wing damage from what I could see on the Ferrari either, so I think he's gotten away with that. 2 AlphaTauris keeping each other company, 3/10 separating those two. 5/10 separating these two. Frustrated Wombat probably, Bags Liddell. Mixed with a bit of unhappy. Because, yeah, that would be very, very frustrating knowing that you qualified pretty decently, you were fighting up in the top 5, and the only person you've tripped over is yourself. 2 incidents here at turn 13 and down at turn 1. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. Because you can't blame anyone else. You can only blame yourself when you spin out like that. Yellow flags being yellow. That's a funny looking yellow lane. Those are blue flags. That's because of the Ferrari just in front. That would be Professor Phil, I would imagine now. I think it'd be Take It Easy. No, it is Take It Easy. My apologies. Sergeant Bill spinning at the final corner. Man, we're seeing a lot of spins tonight here at Hungaroring. There mustn't be a lot of traction out on that track as Laquito has retired in the pit lane. Maintaining his race lead from the very beginning, Blockman still out in front, 1.4 seconds ahead of Saucy in P2. As the AI of Laquito will trickle back out onto the circuit, you'll find a place to park up. Rebellion is in 3rd. This is looking like an incredibly solid race for the Alpine crew right now. 1 and 3. Very, very solid indeed. Tom in 4th, KD in 5th, who has driven away from Youngling now. The gap's 1.9 seconds, as there goes Take It Easy. Mr. Nars in 7th, followed by Subfaline, John C, and Mighty Wombat, now in a very lowly P10. Quito has also left the session. Into turn 13, Flavius trying to apply pressure. But we got trouble behind. Jack, with a whole heap of speed, is looking to get by both out. Oh, gee whiz. As Flavius was going to have a spin, but he caught it well. But he now drops behind Jack, who was closing in on Sparty. Dives it down the inside at 1. Contact! Contact again, more contact at the exit of turn 1. And Jack moves into 11th position. He's weaving about. Well, I must say, Jack, you're the one who insinuated the overtake. Sparty was well enough in front of you. You dived it in like Ayrton Senna, and you're the one weaving about, mate. Come on, think about it. Gee whiz. You know, to be frustrated, yeah, but to visually show your frustration's a bit much. John C, 7/10 behind Subfaline, trying to keep this battle alive for P8. Now down towards the penultimate corner, you can see there, just briefly, Subfaline does have a flashing red light at the back of his car. He doesn't have it now, but he is low on battery, so John might be able to have a crack. He's on 33%. Just needs to keep plucking away, try and take away a few tenths from the car in front. As Mighty Wombat pits in. This is terribly early. So this is either a big gamble or he's got damage. This is just a gamble. So he's going to go a long, long time on those tyres. 23 laps, that's a hell of a stretch. See if he makes it work. Mr. Nars trying to stick with Youngling, who has lost a bit of ground to KD. KD now 2.6 seconds ahead. And Saucy is actually close to within a second of Blockman, so this is on for the race lead now. Those medium tyres just aren't as good as what they once were, and now the hard tyre is starting to switch on. Saucy closing in. He'll get DRS here, down the main straightaway. Just help him out a little bit, closing the gap to the car in front. Around turn 1. Down towards turn 2 now. Yeah, that may be true, Vags, but once you hit 75%, you're in puncture territory, and the game does not give a damn what your tyres were like before that point, how you treated your tyres. When you hit 75%, you're in puncture territory, and I swear it's RNG. It can happen right at 76%. You could drive the things to 100% wear, and they won't puncture. So you are gambling. Like, the tyres should theoretically make it, but it completely depends on what the game will say, and it also depends on what kind of setup he has on the car. If it's an aggressive setup, a qualifying base setup, it's probably going to be hard on the tyre. And if he burns it up too quick, then he won't have any tyre left for the end of the race, chucking him into puncture territory, which will leave him very much worse off, as the Hummuses has spun at turn 1. Now, Flavio is still keeping up with his teammate. Not much happening there. John C. hasn't made any tremendous inroads, but he's kept up with Subfalime, keeping this alive. I guess the only battle worth looking at right now is the battle for the lead. Blockman still leading. Saucy closing in second. It's now 5.5 tenths between the top two. Around turn 3. Climbing up the hill towards the first sector split and turn 4. Interesting to see the pace difference here between these two cars. Now, granted, Saucy has to put up with a bit of dirty air from the car in front, which will affect performance in the corners. You can see as well, he's quite low on battery, only on 11%. Makes his way out of the chicane. Around turn 8 up towards turn 9. Nice and tidy through the right-hander, up towards turn 10. 6th gear. Keep it in 6 through turn 11. He actually gained time on Blockman through that mid-sector. So, Saucy's got pace in the middle of the lap. And he's also getting DRS assistance in the first and through the first sector in particular. So, yeah, Saucy gaining a healthy amount of time on the race leader. And I imagine Blockman is now starting to look in his rearview mirrors, getting worried about the Aston Martin that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Down towards turn 1, bringing it down through the gears, down to 4th. Just about clipping the apex as KD pits in. So both Mercedes cars pitting early. KD at a much more respectable time. He'll be doing 20 laps on those tyres, which, according to the game, that should be possible. Saucy still applying pressure to our current race leader, making their way around turn 5. Also quite surprising with the amount of spins that we've had throughout this race. Not a single safety car or virtual safety car has been deployed. And with cars that had damaged front wings as well, so leaving debris on the racetrack, that didn't bring out a virtual safety car. It's been green. Oh, hang on. Jack's out. He's crashed. Oh, dearie me. He's done it at turn 3. He's lost control. Well, considering that the front right-hand tyre's off the car. Oh, what barrier did he hit? He must have hit the right-hand side barrier if the right-hand side tyre's off. And how is that not a safety car exactly? Blockman's in. Like, his car was sitting here on the racing line. Like, why was that not a safety car? So, Blockman, he'll be changing on to a set of hards. He'll go to the end of the race on those. Youngling will move through into P4. So, Blockman will come out in front of Mr. Nars, who has made his way into pit lane. There goes John C. KD will be the next car to make their way through. But yeah, I'm guessing that Jack lost control through 3 and crashed into the right-hand side barrier, considering the right-hand side tyre was knocked off, the right-hand front. So, yeah, Bit of a weird one and no safety car. Harm assist, I think. Spinning? Yes, it is. Spinning at turn 12. No damage on the Alfa Romeo though. Into the pits goes Villeneuve. He'll be getting off these mediums and onto a set of hards. So Saucy now leading the way. Rebellion in second. I would guess Rebellion will be pitting in pretty soon. And here he comes. He'll make his way through pit entry. Ooh, bit of understeer there. And up towards the speed limiter line. Pulls it up. Speed limit of 50 miles an hour here at the Hungaroring. Pulls it into his garage. A set of hard tyres bolted onto the car. Youngling will move through into third position now. There is Take It Easy, I believe, just behind him. It is. So, Blockman will move up into fourth. Rebellion to sixth. As he's being challenged for fifth place with Subfaline. Down towards turn 2. Subfaline with the inside line and with the track position is able to hang on to P5 for now through turn 2. There's John C on warm tyres, mind you. He's unable to challenge Rebellion just yet. So Rebellion, he'll have to try and find a way around Subfaline. Excuse me, as soon as possible. Through the chicane. Up towards turn 8. Rebellion unable to do anything through this mid-sector. He is stuck behind the McLaren. Sergeant Bill's getting close to Sparty here. Not close enough to challenge him at turn 2 though. As the Harmicus pits in, he's got a set of medium tyres now bolted on his car. Sergeant Bill, not quite close enough. Has to stay behind Sparty for now. Saucy still leading the way. Tom second. Youngling third. So none of those drivers have pit just yet. This man right here though is ready to go to the end of the race as Rebellion gets by Subfaline. That is for P5 on the racetrack. Not much Subfaline could do about that. Mr. Nars has Mighty Wombat right behind, closing in at a rate of knots. Won't be able to do anything at turn 1, and I believe Wombat won't be able to do anything at turn 2 either. So it seems that Wombat's going to stay behind Mr. Nars for at least the rest of this lap. Sergeant Bill behind Insane Sparty. Rocket LMR pits. Sergeant Bill closing in towards turn 1. Not by enough though to challenge into the right hand hairpin. He'll have to stay behind in 13th as Saucy pits. He's in. Pulls it up nice and easy. Head up towards his pit stall. Keep an eye on that light blue dot heading into the final corner. That is Blockman. Mediums bolted on. Away he leaves. There goes an Alpha. There goes the Williams of Youngling. And here comes Blockman. And through he goes. Rebellion making his way down the main straight will end up behind Saucy. Subfaline gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding. So Saucy has to close up by 2.5 seconds to Blockman. And then once he does, we'll have a battle for the provisional race lead. We still have to wait for Youngling and Tom to pit. Yet to stop in this race. Mighty Wombat has moved by Mr. Nars as well. He's up into P8 behind his teammate KD 1997, who is in 7th position. There is Blockman closing in. Yeah, Youngling and Tom, they won't be too far away from their pit stops. Mr. Nars doing the best he can to try and keep up with Mighty Wombat. Wombat's had an absolute shocker of a race. Looked quite promising after qualifying. It's all completely deteriorated. Bill not close enough to challenge here into turn 2. He'll have to stay behind. So we've got a couple of close battles on track. Just a couple. But now everybody, generally speaking, is starting to spread out quite a lot. So Youngling in, he'll be moving on to a set of mediums to go to the end of the race on. John C is doing the same. So into second place goes Blockman. Into third goes Saucy. The gap, 2.7 seconds with 15 laps to go. KD is in front of Youngling. John C making his way out. Mighty Wombat past John into 7th position. There's Youngling just in front. The Wombat is on considerably older tyres. 8 laps old compared to literally fresh tyres. Straight out of the pits. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tall order for Wombat to catch up. And we saw Youngling over at Mexico perform quite well. So be looking to build on that. Behind Bill, looking to the inside here at turn 1. Then wheel to wheel exiting the corner. Bill's got the advantage. He's in front and he's into P12. His next target will be Flavius in the other AlphaTauri. Intervals are really starting to spread out between a lot of the drivers. This is the closest battle we have on track right now. There won't be much Sparty can do through this mid-sector. Saucy leading the way with the new fastest lap. So he's definitely got pace. He just needs to get by this guy. And it won't be the easiest thing in the world, I can reassure you. In terms of pace, Saucy's leading it. Got plenty of speed with that fresh set of medium compound tyres on his race car. Tom, wonder what his game plan is right now. Is he going to try and stay out on the hard tyre for as long as he possibly can? Pray for a safety car to come out. Maybe he'll go long on the hard tyre. Maybe put on a set of softs. Go to the end of the race on those. He's coming in now. He's had enough of these tyres. He will relinquish the race lead and give it back to Blockman. There's Saucy, 1.7 seconds behind now. The Aston is closing. Down the main straightaway we go. It's now lap 23 of 35. 13 laps to go here at Budapest. Round turn 1. Tom dropping all the way down to 4th position. Here comes KD. Going to be a bit of a battle here into turn 1. KD looking around the outside. To the inside. Doesn't have quite enough momentum. Looks, almost puts it into the grass. It didn't have enough momentum to challenge into turn 2. Around turn 3, up the hill towards turn 4. Wombat. He's closing on Youngling as well, so I better keep an eye on that. At least I believe he has. Oh, dearie me, Sparty. Spinning out at turn 13. Another spin here at this corner. I believe that's the 3rd driver I've seen spinning there at 13. No, he has not closing. He's losing time. Those medium compound tyres have definitely seen better days. 10 laps old, yeah. Definitely seen better days. So Wombat will just be doing all he can to try and keep a margin to Mr. Nars. So that'll be the gap to look out for between Wombat and Nars. There's an Aston Martin getting out of the way. That would be Villeneuve. Getting out of the way there. KD now 1.1 seconds behind Tom on fresh tyres. Going to be next to impossible to beat. Speaking of which, here comes Saucy. Youngling new fastest lap, 18.495. Demonstrating the pace he's got in that car as Professor Phil gets a 5-second penalty and he retires from the session. Our 3rd retirement, we're down to 17 cars in the event. Saucy half a second behind the race leader, heading through the middle sector. Through turn 6 into turn 7. Through turn 8, round turn 9. Saucy dealing with the dirty air quite well. He's got great pace in that Aston. Blockman's got the critical track position though through this section. He's able to keep Saucy at bay. But for how long? There's a huge DRS zone coming up. I can't help but feel Blockman's going to be quite vulnerable Rocket Alamar gets by Sparty. That's for P13. And we might have a change in the lead here. Dumping his battery, Saucy. DRS wide open, closing the gap. But nowhere nearby enough to challenge into turn 1. Brakes super deep. Closes in. And you see that Blockman getting a pretty good exit out of turn 1. Keeps the Aston Martin at bay. So maybe, just maybe, Blockman's got a little bit better straight line speed compared to the Aston Martin of Saucy. That extra straight line speed may prove critical in Blockman's defense for the race win. But he needs to keep it all together here in the middle sector. Can't afford to make a mistake. Saucy, meanwhile, he needs to nail the middle sector. He needs to get every 100th of a second he can from this mid sector. Get as close as he can to Blockman, giving himself the best opportunity to attack into turn 1. That wasn't the best exit out of turn 11 though. It cost him a few hundredths, pushing him back around turn 13, up towards turn 14. Saucy hugging that inside line the whole way round. It's a tidy exit, but I think he's once again too far back. He doesn't have a lot of battery either. And yet, oh, he's having a go though, down the inside at 1. An audacious maneuver, sending it in. Oh, and Blockman made a mistake. Here we go, down towards turn 2. Blockman maintaining the inside line through the left-hander. But this gives Saucy the inside line at 3 and he's through. What an overtake. Oh, but here comes... Oh, and that's a bit of a block there from Saucy. Heading up towards turn 4. A wiggle as well from Blockman at the exit of turn 4. Gee whiz, Saucy sent it from a long way back. Blockman saw him coming. Left the door open. And now Saucy's pulling away here through the middle sector. I think if I was Blockman in that situation at turn 1, I would have turned in a bit harder, a bit sooner at turn 1. And tried to make it more difficult for Saucy. Saucy's pace through the middle sector is evident. And look at him pull away. He's now got almost a second over Blockman already. And Blockman with that little mistake at turn 1 as well. With the mistake on the outside curb. It's cost him dearly. He's got enough straight line speed to close in by a couple of tenths down the main straight. But it's through the... Oh, Saucy! He spun! Saucy has thrown away the race lead. He has spun at turn 1. He has gifted it back to Blockman. That scintillating dive at turn 1 is all for nothing. He's now 5.4 seconds behind the race leader. Oh my goodness me. He's got to do all that work again in 5.2 seconds. In what? In 8 laps? Yeah, I don't think he's going to catch up that quickly. Unless he absolutely sends it. I do not believe it. All that work thrown away by one mistake at turn 1. It appears that these cars in particular are extremely traction limited around this circuit. The amount of spins I've seen around here is a lot more than a lot of other racetracks I've seen in recent times. This is close to Portimao levels of spins. The gap has shrunk. It's now 4.2. Saucy is giving it everything to try and catch up to the race leader. But it took everything to try and make the move stick, to take the race lead. It's going to take everything and then some for Saucy to catch up and pass Blockman for the race lead. Rebellion in 3rd position. This will be a hell of a result for the Alpine duo. Huge points in the Constructors' Championship. The rest of the gaps in the field, they're pretty big now. Subfalime behind Mr. Nars, but Subfalime does have a time penalty next to his name. Has 5 seconds to be exact. It will cost him a chance to battle for 8th place, and potentially it might demote him down to 10th. Back up to the top 2, shall we? The gap has shrunk down to 3.7 seconds. But every lap we tick over, the worse those medium tyres become. Can he maintain this pace advantage with these few laps left in this Grand Prix? Suppose we're going to find out, aren't we? It's now lap 29 of 35 here at the Hungaroring. My goodness. 7 laps to go. 3.6 seconds is the gap. There's the race leader. Saucy in 2nd. Rebellion 3rd. Subfalime gets by Mr. Nars for 8th. Round turn 3. Down the hill. Then back up another hill towards turn 4. Chucking it through the left-hander. Keeping it within the white lines. 3.5 seconds as they go through turn 5. Up towards the chicane of 6 and 7. Chucking it through. There's Rebellion in 3rd. Through turn 8 into 9. Gap shrinks to 3.4. Through turn 10. Up towards 11. Tidy exit. Towards turn 12. Gap still sitting at about 3.4, 3.3 now. Saucy's not gaining a great deal of time on this man, and you can see as well, in terms of battery life, Blockman's got solid 30% next to his name, but he is low on fuel. I do notice that in the telemetry, just a little bit under, and he is lifting and coasting. You could hear that there into turn 1, huge lift and coast. Saucy has no such trouble. He's got half a lap extra fuel, so he can push it to the limit. That's another factor we have to keep an eye on, is the fuel on Blockman's car. He's got battery. He has not got a huge amount in reserve. He's going to be pretty even at the line. And let's see here. Take It Easy has retired in the pit lane. He's had enough for the day. Tom, 7/10 behind Rebellion. This could upset the double podium for Alpine. Tom's got pace. Got a bit of battery. He's low on fuel though too. Minus 0.2 under. Oh, and a 3-second time penalty to boot. Oh, dearie me. So Tom and Blockman, bit iffy in the fuel situation. Saucy's in the green, but he's low on battery. We have got 5 laps to go here at the Hungaroring. It is 2.7 seconds between the top 2. Take It Easy has left the session. Rebellion, that 3-second time penalty would have been a relief to see. It means that even if Tom catches up and passes him, he merely has to stay within 3 seconds of the McLaren, and he will take 3rd. Rocket LMR closing in on Flavius as well, so he might have a battle for P12. But Saucy doing all he can right now. 2.2 is the gap. 2.1. There is the race leader. Here is 2nd. In the background was 3rd and 4th. Through turn 9, up towards turn 10. It's 2 seconds now. Round 11, chucking it through. Down towards 12. Keeping it within the white lines. It's 1.8 now. And there is a AlphaTauri in front of Rebellion too. Rebellion, sorry, in front of Blockman. Actually, not anymore. Flavius pits in. Gets out of the way. 4 laps to go. 2 seconds. The gap. Saucy has to close in by 1.5 seconds per lap. That is Flavius spinning, or at least bringing out yellows at turn 1. Getting out of the way of the race leader. Saucy making his way down the hill through turn 3. Up towards turn 4. There goes Blockman. Here comes Saucy. 1.9, 1.8. Into the chicane. Turn 6 and 7. There goes the race leader. 1.7. Needs to be about 1.5 at the end of the lap. Saucy's close to that number. Yellow's out. The harm assist maybe slowing down, giving way to traffic, I would think. 1.4 seconds is the gap. Tom still applying pressure to Rebellion, but as I mentioned before, Rebellion needn't worry about the car behind. So long as he doesn't make a mistake, Rebellion should take third in this race. Around the final corner and back onto the main straightaway. It is now 3 laps to go here at Budapest. 1.6 seconds is now the gap. Into turn 1 we go. See the flashing red light at the back of the Aston. No such worries in terms of battery for the Alpine, but there are fuel concerns in Blockman's car. Down the hill, through turn 3, back up the hill towards 4. 1.5 seconds is the gap heading around the left-hander, around the right-hander of turn 5. Towards the chicane of 6 and 7. Chucking it through the right and the left. Gap shrunk to 1.2 seconds. Around turn 9. Up towards turn 10. It's 1.1. Around turn 11. Chucking it through. Oh, that might have been a warning there. I reckon it would have been. Saucy getting comfy with the limits of the track there. This is going to be touch and go stuff. Yellow's out. Harm assist, I believe, again. Yep. Sparty gets through into P14. 2 laps to go. 1.2 seconds to gap. Yellow's out again. A harm assist slowing down. Around turn 1. With the laps remaining, we're not going to have a safety car. Here comes Tom for third. They're side by side out at turn 1. Rebellion's got traction, but Tom, he'll get by. Rebellion doesn't want to fight. He knows Tom has pace, but he also has a 3-second time penalty. Through turn 4, up towards turn 5. 1.1, 1 second is now the gap. Saucy doing everything he can. Blockman doing everything he can. Oh, a bit of an awkward run out of 7. Round turn 8. Into turn 9, the gap opens back up to 1.1. Now hovering at 9/10 now as they head through turn 11. Now heading into the final sector. Saucy's within a second. Through 12, towards the penultimate corner, turn 13. Chucking it through the left-hand sweeper. Up towards turn 14, the final corner on the racetrack. Saucy will have very few options here, but he does have DRS. This is it, the final lap. Lap 35 of 35 here at the Hungaroring. 1 second separating the top 2 through turn 1. Towards turn 2 now. Saucy losing a little bit of ground through the opening corner. Around the left-hand sweeper. Both drivers getting it through pretty well through turn 3. Up towards turn 4. The gap's still sitting at 1 second. Blockman can hang on here. He just needs to keep his eyes forward and not make a mistake. Saucy's got plenty of pace here through the middle sector. But I think realistically now, Saucy needs a miracle. Through turn 9. Up towards turn 10 for the final time. And around turn 11. The gap shrinks to 9/10. It's not enough. Blockman's got a comfortable margin. He's got a clear track in front of him. 2 corners remain. Around turn 13. Up towards turn 14. It's been a superb drive from the top 2, but only one can win, and that man's going to be Blockman. He will win the Hungarian Grand Prix, beating Saucy by just over 7/10 of a second, and it'll be Rebellion who finishes in third. Tom ran out of fuel in the final sector. Cement himself in 4th place. KD 5th. Youngling in 6th. Mighty Wombat will finish in 7th place. I'm almost certain he would not be impressed with that. Youngling almost took P5 away from KD as well, looking at the times. Sub for Lime crosses the line in 8th. That will be taken from him. Mr. Nars will finish in front. Sub for Lime will finish in 9th. John C out of fuel. Sergeant Bell a bit too far behind. So John will round out the top 10. The 2 Alpha Tauris have finished as well. P13 and 14 for them. Harmesis will complete the points in 15th position. Villeneuve will cross the line in 16th. Followed by Sergeant Bell. And then we wait for Rocket Alamar. It's had probably a less than ideal race. What a fascinating final couple of laps that was between the top 2. Saucy gave it everything to try and catch up after his mistake at turn 1. It just wasn't enough though. Blockman will take his first win of the season and become the 3rd race winner of Season 8 in the Americas Series. No, superb effort from the Alpine crew today. Blockman winning the Hungarian Grand Prix. P2 going to Saucy, and P3 Rebellion. Huge points in the Drivers and Constructors Championships for Alpine. So, the unofficial results of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Blockman, or Mr. No Name here, is your race winner, with Saucy finishing in 2nd place, under a second behind the race winner at the end of that 35 lap duel. Rebellion will finish in 3rd place, completing the podium places. P6 goes to RF1 Tom. KD will finish in 5th, Youngling 6th, Mighty Wombat in 7th. Also, Youngling scored fastest lap as well, with an 18.495. Mr. Nars P8, Sub for Lime 9th. John rounds out the top 10. Then we have Sergeant Bill P11, Rocket LMR in 12th, followed by Flavius and Insane Sparty. The Harmesis completes the point scoring places in 15th. Villeneuve in 16th, and our retirements Take It Easy, Professor Phil, VSR Jack and Laquito. There we are, 4 retirements in this one, 16 finishes, and a new race winner in Season 8 America's Tier 1. Not a bad event, I'd say. Shockingly, we did not have a safety car at any time during this race. I remember with America's Open that I kind of invaded on earlier in the week. I didn't mean to. KD had a party up where I was in it. He was doing a stream and I accidentally interrupted him. But I did hear there were 4 safety cars in that race. We didn't have one, and we had plenty of incidents. So it really does demonstrate that I think with this game, when it comes to incidents, if there's a crash on track, it's genuinely up to RNG. There's no genuine system behind it. The game just picks a number. Whatever number it picks, that will ultimately decide what kind of incident it is, whether it requires a safety car, virtual safety car, or just yellow flags in the sector. But yeah, no, an interesting race, interesting green flag race, I'd say. Helped by the fact that Saucy threw away a race win. That was his at the end of that, and threw it away at turn 1. Saw a few drivers spin there, so evidently these cars don't have a lot of traction at the Hungaroring, so something I think a lot of drivers to take note, including myself. I'm not sure if Formula Endurance goes there, but if it does, yeah, I better be ready for it. But A final congratulations to our top 3. Well done to Rebellion. Welcome to your return to PlayStation on a podium. Nicely done. Saucy drove well. Second is what you got, but I know that you'll know you could have achieved better. But Blockman, awesome drive the whole time. Kept it together the entire race, didn't put a foot wrong the entire event, and end up taking a very deserving win. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to wrap up the stream. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I've been Lane Everingham, and we'll see you next week for the Bahrain Grand Prix, a Bahrain International Circuit. That's bound to be quite an interesting and hopefully very competitive event. But until then, it's goodbye.